I'm going to offer you Chris's Guide to Christmas. I've had quite a few clients in the last week or two kind of express their impending worries about going home for Christmas. A stress that they need to kind of walk on eggshells, that there's going to be an atmosphere when they go back home to their family, that there are things that have been unstated for such a long time that it's already stressful. There's a sort of an internal pressure cooker inside of themselves. Okay, so if you can relate to that, then I'm going to give you a whole load of tips today on how to navigate the Christmas moment. Okay, so I'm going to give you three things. I'm going to give you ways to deal with that right now, the anticipation of the stress. Then we'll go through that moment as you arrive at the door of the family house, and that kind of weight of expectation starts to grow. And then I'll give you a few tips on what to do if, for whatever reason, you get triggered. So I decided I was going to do this because, it had come up with clients, and then lo and behold, today it started to snow. Ta-da! So I found myself a couple of Christmas trees. You can say I found myself a Christmas tree. I have donned my Yorkshire flat cap, and I got these beautiful Christmas garland. I'm not sure, which one of the nativity it was in particular that decided that they liked mushrooms, but mushrooms they are, and look. So with that in mind, let's crack on with Chris's survival guide to Christmas. Okay, so let's start with the here and the now, with the anxiety, the impending doom of the Christmas festive spirit. Yeah, we're all supposed to live the Home Alone moment and kindness and goodwill to all men, but you're going to bring your brain with you. Okay, and the stuff that hasn't been said, there's pent up silence. There's possibly a sort of a hope of everybody that everybody's going to have fun, and you kind of feel the weight of that because maybe you're not kind of feeling quite that inside of yourself, whatever it may be. Okay, so worries. Let's talk about worries to start with. If there are these kind of anticipations of problems that someone's going to rock the boat, that you're going to get asked questions you don't want to get asked, you're going to get teary, or you're going to want to run for the hills, or you're going to want to argue back, and you're going to end up in a sort of a sense of rage. Whatever that story is of what could potentially happen, and this is already welling up inside of you. Okay, number one, it's not happening right now. This is an element of our psychology that we feel inside of us a vividly imagined reality just as strongly as if it was occurring, right? And it's not occurring. So I've done another video on psychological illusion, and you might want to take a look at that. But in a very brief snippet, consider this, okay? You're at the top of a mountain, or you're on a cliff edge, all right? There's a sheer drop in front of you. Magnificent view, incredible view, awe-inspiring, but you are right at the top, okay? Now imagine there's three of you. I know that sounds a little ridiculous. Imagine there's three of you. One of you is stood vertically, taking in the view. It's an immense view. There's another one of you who's actually at a 45-degree angle. It's actually, and then there's a third one of you, flat on your back, okay, laying on the top of the cliff. Maybe your feet are dangling off the cliff into thin air. And the question is, of those three of you, which one is a candidate for the thought, what if I slip and fall? And the answer is, of course, the one who stood up, the one who's perfectly okay, the one who's admiring the view. That one, it's able to think, what if I slip and fall? The one who's at 45 degrees, the one just, believe you me, that person is not thinking, what if I slip and fall? They're in emergency mode. The other one, who's flat on their back on the ground, feet dangling over the edge, they might be thinking, what if I roll and I just tumble over the edge? Or what if I've hurt my back, or whatever it may be? But they are not thinking, what if I slip and fall? The only one that has the ability to consider that thought is the one that isn't engaging in it, right? It's an aversion against the future, but it's not occurring. So there's a lot of value in that. Okay, what that means is when you have these thoughts, these worries, and you feel them welling up in your body, you're forgetting that it's just a thought. You're imagining it to such an extent that your body's engaging with it as if it were real, right? If you can gain just a split second of distance from it, you can notice that it's just a thought and that you don't need to identify with the thought. It's not occurring. Very, very useful thing. So consider that. That's, what I'm thinking isn't occurring. So therefore, right now, I'm actually safe. Yeah, that can dim the stress. Another way that I kind of like to look at it is, so you're worrying about something in the future, which is actually outside of your control. I bang on a lot about the Stoics, okay? The Stoics talk about their sphere of influence. What is inside my control and what is outside of my control? And if it's outside of my control, what is the point of me exerting and expending energy on something that I cannot change? Yeah. So you're going to go back to an environment where people are going to be people. They're going to do whatever they do. Yeah. So grant them that possibility. If it's outside of your control, well, hey, is it worth really stressing over? Because you can't change it. Plus, it's going to occur. So just let it unfurl, right? Maybe bring a sense of curiosity to it. Maybe consider it as a possibility for personal development. Yeah? Well, I wonder how this might occur. Another way that you can look at it is, so everybody's hoping that this situation is going to be great, yeah, that it's going to be Christmassy. But where did those expectations come from? And did you ever buy into that? Did you ever subscribe to it? Did you ever choose to have that expectation? Or has it just kind of arrived? It's a cultural phenomena, right? It comes from Home Alone, it comes from Disney, it comes from Christmas carols, it comes from all this kind of stuff. But if it's not yours, well, A, you're not responsible for creating a sensation inside of yourself, which is not a choice. But B, you're not responsible for providing other people with that experience either. It might well be that there is a part of you that hopes you'll have the Disney moment, of course, right? We all would love this idea of just being able to unscrew our brain and put that out and put one back in that's got candy floss and mushroom garlands around it and have a ho 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 moment for a week and then go back to reality as if you could just kind of have this brief relief moment for a little while. But in practice, we are who we are, yeah? So that's a massive delusion. And again, do you choose to sign up to it? If you don't. It can release the pressure, that's what I'm saying. But then the most important one that I think that is very, very useful in advance, in anticipation of the Christmas festivities, try journaling. Journal every day. Not for long, just for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but do it every evening if you can. It's a great way to release the day. The only thing you need to do with journaling is just keep writing. Yeah, just keep writing. If there's nothing in your mind, say, there's nothing in my mind. Write it down, write everything down, and just do it for like 10 or 15 minutes, and you will connect with your thoughts, you'll connect with your feelings, and you express that on paper. It kind of pushes it out. I said on one of the other videos that I've done, the opposite of expression is depression, or even repression. It's very important to express. Energy in motion is emotion. So you get your emotions out, you digest them, you release them by expression. They find a place in the Perspex filing cabinet of your brain when you put things down on paper. So try that every day, and what you'll find, it might seem a little bit awkward, but after a few days it kind of feels like self-care. Is a way of being nice to yourself. You learn things and you're kind to yourself. I guess the only other one that I can say in advance is Tony Robbins' famous phrase, where focus goes, energy flows, or maybe where focus flows, energy goes. I'm not sure which of the two it is. Basically, be aware of what you're paying attention to and what you're looking for, because you're going to find more of it. Yeah. So if you expect things to be awful, if you expect them to be stressful, you're going to look for everything that confirms that point of view. If you expect things to be fun or curious or intriguing, you're going to find things that are fun or curious or intriguing. If you look at it from the perspective that stuff is going to occur and I'm not going to like it, then you're a goal-orientated brain. So you're going to find things that confirm that. If you go with the opportunity to learn something new for personal development, maybe, to have a moment to just look after yourself, that you're outside of your usual environment and see what that brings, you're going to find lots of examples that confirm that. Yeah. Okay, that'll do for in advance. Psychological illusion is a massive one. Journaling is a massive one. You might also like to try gratitude. Yeah. Isn't it wonderful that I've got the opportunity to spend this time? Other people are not as fortunate as me, whatever it may be. Yeah. Okay, so you're there. You're at the door. Maybe you've taken all day to get there. Yeah, maybe it was a stressful drive or a long train journey, and you're lugging your luggage, and the train is overfull, and it's slow, and it's cold and wet outside. Or you've taken all day, you had to get up early for a plane, or whatever it may be, and you're finally there, and you're a little bit tired, a little bit ragged, ready to press on the doorbell. Okay, and these feelings kind of come back. Like, oh God, I hope it's going to be all right, sort of thing. Okay, what can you do in those situations? Number one, maybe a sense of gratitude. Well, at least I have the opportunity to see my family, whatever it may be. Other people are not as fortunate as me. At least I have the opportunity to be able to come here. You know, I've got a job, I've got a loved one, whatever it may be. You know, a sense of gratitude can divert your attention. This idea of we're all human, we're all flawed, so just let people be people. I don't owe it to them to deliver their joy, and they don't owe it to me to deliver my joy. Our perceptions are inside of us. We choose our responses, all that kind of thing. But the idea that humanity is flawed. So people are going to do what they're going to do, and it's not all going to be in accordance with our wishes, but that's just kind of life. That can work. Be curious. Yeah, rather than having a sense of impending doom, have a sense of curiosity, a sense of open-minded interest as to what might occur. That can work as well. And remind yourself of the journaling that you've done, and keep on journaling all the time that you're there. It can be a fantastic way of learning about yourself. Look at it as an opportunity. Personal growth. Yeah. Right, so imagine that you're there. It's Christmas Day. You're at the dining table, okay? You've been there for the last 3 or 4 days. Everything's gone relatively smoothly so far. Everyone's played their roles. Nobody has stepped on the eggshells. And then somebody asks you the question that you've been desperately trying to avoid forever, yeah? Or brings up some resentment from the past. Who knows, yeah? But something triggers you in the moment. And you're there, you're at the Christmas dinner table. You can't run away, right? What are you going to do? So all of these techniques that I'm going to talk about now are in order to give you just a split-second pause so that you can respond rather than react. Because that's all that's required. There is a stimulus, right? Something occurs. Someone asks a question or makes a statement or requests something, and you make a presumption, an understanding of that. So it's not the other person's action that causes the reaction inside of you. It's your perception of their intention or of the meaning underlying it. So one of the most useful ones is simply, might I be mistaken? Could I be completely and utterly wrong? Yeah. if you can look at it in that way, then there's no need to fly off the handle. Yeah, because the worry is that you're gonna overreact. You're going to get stressed or teary, or want to run away, or want to get defensive and angry, or go out of control. Any of that kind of stuff. So if you can start from the perspective of, well, maybe my thought isn't correct, that can be very useful. Instantaneous. Okay. Just think of a few times when you've been utterly and completely wrong, totally wrong. So this could be an occasion where you've misinterpreted. Okay. Another one that can be useful is it better to be right or to be kind? Yeah. Is it better to win, or is it better to retain your friendship? And most of the time, actually, occasionally it's important to defend yourself and prove that you're right, but most of the time, actually, it's kindness wins. Yeah, it's better to be kind and friendly. So that can work. I don't know if you've ever been in a car accident or been in a car which has started to skid out of control, but it's very important where you are looking. It defines the result of the skid. Yeah. So if you're skidding along, there's snow underneath, and suddenly the car is veering off, and there's a massive tree trunk in front of you. If you focus on the tree trunk, if you put all of your attention on the tree trunk, well, then your physiology, your intention, everything is heading towards the tree trunk. Very likely you're going to hit. If instead you are focusing on the solution, you're focusing on getting back on the road, your entire physiology is diverted to the solution, well, it's far, far more likely that you're going to head in that direction. Yeah, that you're going to take the actions in that direction. Similarly, if an argument is ready to kick off, if you are focusing on the catastrophe, on the stress, you're far more likely to go there. If you focus on the solution, a peaceful opportunity, an opportunity to show yourself just how calm you can be under stress, you're going to go there. Yeah, so that can be very, very useful too. Consider this, right? Ta-da. The space between your eyes, or your breathing. I'll get onto breathing in a minute. If you can find a place of peace inside of your body, that completely changes your perspective. So one that I do quite a lot is just find the space between your eyes, yeah, or find the peace between your eyes. Because actually, if you focus on the area between your eyes, there's nothing really there. There's nothing really there. It's very quiet. So if you can focus on the space between your eyes, bang, in a second, you're calm. As I say, the other one would be focus on your breathing. Breathe in for 4, breathe out for 8. When you're stressed, you tend to breathe through your chest. When you are relaxed and working autonomously, you breathe through your diaphragm. So if you breathe in for 4, it's quite likely that you might notice your chest rising. So maybe you want to put your hand on your belly at the same time, but breathe in for 4, breathe out for 8. Well, you've already discovered the stillness inside of you. These things are all intended to give you that moment's gap so that you can notice what you're noticing and respond rather than react, rather than running down the rabbit warren. If it's very stressful and you kind of get up and leave the table and maybe go for a pee or go and get a glass of water or something like that, if you've got a quick second, find the feeling inside of yourself, whatever the uncomfortable feeling is. Notice precisely where it is in your body and notice how it is, okay? Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? If it has a color, okay, it's jet black and it's moving, or it's spiky, yeah, or it's bright red and flashing and nervy, whatever it may be to you, and it's in your heart, it's in your gut, it's in the bottom of my ankle, wherever it may be. Ask it, if it's a color, what color would it need to feel good? And bathe it in that color. That can take a second, and it feels totally different. Yeah. If it's got a movement, reverse the movement, make it go the other way. Instant relief. Yeah. They are metaphors, but as I said before, we kind of embody our vividly imagined ideas. So it works. It works in the body. End result of all of that is there is an implicit understanding in the system that you're living in. Yeah. So imagine that this environment, wherever you are, is a system like a multivariable system. It could be like a sort of a mobile with lots of bits that are hanging on, that have found their equilibrium. Or you might want to consider it like a sort of a very delicate but perfectly balanced spider's web. And all of the individuals in the system have found ways to make the system balance. If you do something different, if you come with a different sense of your own understanding, of your boundaries, of your self-respect, of your feelings, of your sense of self-control, any of that, all the other parts of the system have to respond because it has to find its equilibrium again. It needs to find its balance again. So a little change that you make can have an extraordinary effect upon the whole system, right? So just imagine this kind of metaphor of you're walking on eggshells. You're kind of trying as much as you can to not upset or not raise certain sensitive issues. And everybody else in the system, even if they can't enunciate that, they kind of sense it, yeah? Well, if you've got a sense of your own boundaries, if you know these techniques that I've told you about, so you can bring a sense of perspective, so that if something happens, if somebody does tread on the eggshell, then you can look at it and go, that's just an eggshell, that's not my entire sense of reality. Then you transmit that to everybody else in the group. They suddenly realize that things are not as risky as they thought they were. So they can lighten up as well. So then nobody needs to worry about stepping on eggshells. You see, one person makes a shift, everybody else implicitly gets it. It shifts in the body language, it shifts the self-assuredness, and everybody lightens up as a result. Maybe some of that is of use, okay? So right now in advance, psychological illusion, whatever you're worrying about isn't occurring. Stoical approach, right? Whatever will be, cynical type of approach. Where focus goes, energy flows, so focus on goodness, not on catastrophe, and journaling, yeah? All very valid for right now. Sense of curiosity, sense of open-mindedness, whatever will be. I can't control other people. They're going to run on their own rails just as much as I'm running on my rails. That can all work in the moment of, okay, here we are. And then this whole idea of if you get triggered, find any way that you possibly can to put a pause in between stimulus and response. Space between the eyes, breathing, find the feeling, find the color of the feeling, change the color, change the movement, change whatever. Grant people the possibility to make the mistakes that you know you make yourself. You know, people are fallible, they're human, they're flawed. Any of that should lighten the atmosphere, so the end result is everybody feels lighter. Yeah, and then people can have a good time because they don't need to prove themselves to the same extent. They don't need to worry about other people to the same extent. They can just be. And then like me, they can play in a snowy environment. Isn't this glorious? Now, I don't know if you can see over here, there's a sort of a, no, you can't really see, but there's a church back there. It's ever so beautiful. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy Christmas. Yeah? And just whatever will be. Yeah, you go with a sense of intention and you make the best of it you can. All right, thank you very much for watching. Take care. Joyeux Noël. And see you in the new year. All right, cheers.